just introduce myself first. You guys can just continue to fill out the iPad and I'll collect those at the end. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Jason Chivers. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Seattle Pacific. I graduated from SPU in 2004 and through our education program and our exercise science program. I loved my experience, came up to SPU from Southern California where I grew up, and after graduating I became a teacher. Moved back to California for a few years, and then 6 years ago decided to move back to Seattle and take this position. Today I'll talk to you guys about some of the things that make SPU distinct, some of the things that set us apart and why most students who wind up choosing SPU, why they come. I'll also talk about our application process and our timeline, our deadlines, as well as our student profile, kind of the average student coming in SPU last year. So first and foremost, I'll talk about what makes us distinct. What kind of sets us apart. The first thing is the location. We're about 5 minutes northwest of downtown Seattle, which I think gives students opportunities for internships, access to jobs as current students on our campus, but also the opportunity to get off campus and explore the city. Seattle is a global city. There's a ton to do. There's a lot going on in Seattle, from professional sports to the performing arts. Concerts and plays are always coming through Seattle. There's a ton to do. Business is huge in Seattle as well. There's a number of Fortune 500 companies that started in Seattle and are based there, like Microsoft, Boeing, Starbucks, Nintendo, Nordstrom, Amazon. A lot of these corporations are still based there, and so our students have access to this. We have a really, really strong relationship with the city. We do a ton of service in the city of Seattle. And our students definitely get the benefit of that. So location is definitely key for us. Second, I would say, is our size and our academics. We have just over 3,200 students on our campus, and I think that's just the right size. It's big enough to where you won't know everybody on our campus, but I think small enough to where you will make really strong connections with other students. You will get to know professors, and I think more importantly, they will know you by name. They will know you personally. It's not going to be something where you're a number in the class. They take the time to get to know students on an individual level. They'll see you walking around campus and say, hey, let's go grab coffee, let's talk about academics, about life. And that was one of the things I really valued about my experience. As I mentioned, went back to California and taught after I graduated. Still 2 years after the fact, I had professors that would call me and ask me how I was doing and ask me if I needed job recommendations, and that meant a lot to me. I didn't expect it, but I thought it was really cool that they remembered me, chose to stay in contact with me. And my story isn't uncommon. There are many, many students who still, to this day, are in contact with professors monthly for lunch or for coffee, just to talk and catch up and see how things are going. So you'll have that. Our professors come to SPU because they want that interaction with the students. We have an average class size of about 24, so you won't feel intimidated to raise your hand in the classroom and ask questions. As I mentioned before, you will see professors kind of walking around campus. They also have office hours as well, so you can meet them in their office. They do really make themselves accessible to students at SPU. Along with that, you'll have support. You'll have support all 4 years. Your freshman year, you'll have a professor who is
Daphne Flowers. Daphne Flowers, please call the main office. Daphne Flowers, call the main office, please.
So you'll have a faculty advisor who works with you throughout the entire first year. You'll meet with them every quarter. They'll ask appropriate questions, finding out what you're interested in, what are you looking to major in, things like that. You'll have support from student academic counselors for 4 years, and you'll meet with them when you first get there to help you register for your first quarter's worth of classes. But also they can map out a 4-year plan for you. If you're looking maybe to double major, or you're looking to graduate early, they're the ones that can help you kind of plot that out and plan, how am I going to graduate and how many credits per quarter do I need to take and things like that. So they're really, really helpful. And then lastly, once you get into your major, you'll have a faculty advisor in the major that's helping you progress through the program to make sure that you're on track to get your degree to graduate from SPU. So there's a lot of support there. Students do not fall through the cracks very often at SPU. So along with that size piece, I want to talk about the academics. The magazine I gave you, it's our ETC magazine. It is our admissions magazine, and we typically send out 3 a year. They have stories on different programs that we offer. things going on in Seattle, stories on professors. This edition talks about some of the things that some of our graduates are doing, 17 graduates, what they're doing for their career right now. But in the back of each edition, on page 29, we have a list of all the majors that we offer on our campus. We have 60 plus majors, and I'll highlight a few of them for you. Our top program probably is our biology/chemistry pre-professional health science program, and over the last 10 years, we've had a 90 to 100% acceptance rate into those professional schools. So schools like pre-med, pre-dental, pre-vet, pre-optometry, pre-physical therapy, and pre-pharmacy. So very, very strong in the sciences. The national average, I believe, is around 50 to 55% for those professional schools. Second would be our School of Business. We have the highest accreditation that a business school can receive, and that puts us in the top 30% of business schools in the country. We're also a Christian university and one of 2 Christian schools in the country with that accreditation. We started a really, really cool mentorship program 3-4 years ago, where we allowed students to meet with an advisor in the School of Business and basically spell out your dream job. Talk about what you wanted to go into, what you were passionate about. We would then take that information, go into the city, and find professionals in that line of work, and they would agree to come in and mentor students. They would meet with you throughout the quarter. You could follow them to work, see what they did hands-on. You could pick their brain, ask them questions. This program has been so successful that we've opened it up to the entire campus. You don't have to be a business major. You can major in anything that we offer, but still sit with this advisor and say, you know what, I'm really interested in this. And we can go out and find a mentor in that field in Seattle to come in and meet with you. So that's been a really, really popular program for us. Nursing, very, very strong program for us, although it's probably our most competitive major on our campus. We started a pilot program a couple of years ago where we are starting to admit freshmen into the program directly from high school, and that's depending on your GPA and your test score coming in. Students will have to do at least 1,000 hours of clinical work. At SPU in the nursing program, we had an alum start an orphanage in Vietnam, and so when students are seniors in that program, you have the option to do a study abroad trip to Vietnam. We also have a summer trip to Guatemala, and that nursing students will go on as well. But a very, very strong program, and another benefit of being in Seattle is that you can do your clinical rotations right there in Seattle at some of the top medical facilities in the region, including Children's Hospital of Seattle. So very, very strong program there. We have education and psychology, which we have up to the doctorate level in both. Education is one that I went through and really passionate about. And then lastly, it's rare for a school our size to have engineering programs, and we have 4. We have electrical, mechanical, computer, and an appropriate and sustainable engineering program that deals with renewable sources of energy. So that's a really, really good program for us. One other I'll touch on is our fashion design, interior design program. It's also rare for a school our size to have a program like that. And that's been a really, really cool program for us as well. But we have over 60 majors, and from the performing arts to our political science, history, to our math and sciences, very, very strong programs throughout, really designed to get you where you're intending to go with your educational goals. So that's our second distinctive, our size in academics. And lastly, my favorite thing about the university, and a reason a lot of students choose to come to SPU, is our mission, kind of what we stand for as a university. I mentioned we are a Christian university, and that really is our foundation, but helps shape our mission and our vision at SPU, which is engaging the culture and changing the world. You will see it all over campus. Everyone talks about it. It is at our core who we are and what we're about. What that means for us is we don't want students to just go to class, get a degree, and get a job. We want you to find really what you're passionate about in whatever you choose to study. And we want to partner with you to help you and equip you to go out and make a positive difference in the world using your career, your major, what your gifts and talents are. That's what's important to us. Now, to take that out and make a difference in someone else's life, or take it back to your community and make a difference in your community using whatever you decide to major in. That's the big idea for us. We don't, it's not all about, what can I do to earn the most money and have the best life, but more, how can I take the things I'm really passionate about and go out and make a difference? And so that, I think at our core, as I mentioned, is who we are. And a reason a lot of students decide to come to SPU, because they want to be a part of that mission and a part of us growing in that, engaging the culture and changing the world. So those are our big three distinctives. Those are the things that I think set us apart from other universities. I always throw in my personal fourth distinctive, and on page 16 and 17 in the magazine, there's a little story about that, and that is our food. It is amazing on our campus. Our food is actually one of the tipping points for me choosing SPU. We're ranked in the top 10 in the country with our dining. They do actually rank that stuff, and I went and found it. But it's good stuff. But like I said, that's just my personal distinctive. Take it with a grain of salt. I'll switch now and talk a little bit about our application process and our deadlines. And back on pages 30 and 31, you'll see a timeline of when we're having big visit events on campus, when application materials are due. And we use the Common Application at SPU. Over 400 schools in the country use Common App. We do have a member section in the Common App that asks specific questions that really SPU cares about. So you can find that there. But our first deadline is November 15th. That is an early action deadline. It's non-binding. The benefits of applying early action are: one, students are notified in January of your decision. Second, you will receive priority consideration for financial aid and scholarships. And then lastly, housing, and probably most importantly, housing is the biggest benefit of applying early action. We do our housing assignments based on the date a student submits their application to the school. How that works is in April, students have access to fill out our housing application, and among many other questions we ask, what are your top 3 choices and where you want to stay? Or top 4 or 5 choices where you want to stay on campus. And traditionally, students who applied by that November 15th deadline get their first choice in where they want to stay. As of now, we have 4 residence halls. Our 5th is currently being built as I speak. It'll be ready by fall 2014. At that time, 2 of our halls will be suite style, so 2 rooms connected by a bathroom, and then the other 3 will be traditionals, where they're one large bathroom on the floor that the floor shares. Every hall has a different feel. They do a ton of activities to get students involved, from talent shows, lip singing competitions. One of them does kind of what we call Emerson Film Festival, where the entire floor will make a short film. Each hall does a dance at a pretty major Seattle venue. Last year, one of our halls did a masquerade ball at the Space Needle. So some really cool stuff. Students get involved. But really all that to say, every hall is somebody's favorite. And the biggest benefit is you typically get your first choice if you apply by the early action deadline. Our second deadline is February 1st. That is our regular deadline. And students are still considered for all of our scholarships and financial aid, but housing is not priority for that deadline. And then lastly, I always talk about May 1st, the May 1st deadline. It's our national candidate reply date. All schools abide by that. That's the date that you let schools know that you've been admitted to where you intend to enroll. So you don't have to feel pressured to make a decision before then. If you know where you want to go, you absolutely can, but you do have until May 1st to kind of decide where you want to go. If any of you are juniors or younger, these dates stay the same every year. So November 15th, February 1st, and May 1st will not change. So that will be the same dates next year as well. Lastly, what I want to go over is our student profile. The average student who comes into SPU, and specifically last year, a question I get a lot is, what's your required GPA or minimum test score to get in? We don't have a stated minimum. What we talk about is that middle 50% of our incoming students. Granted, 25% of these students scored higher, 25% scored lower, and we're still admitted. But we want to give students kind of a range or an idea of the middle 50%. So on page 32 in the top right-hand corner, you can see those numbers. As far as GPA is concerned, between 3.31 and 3.83, that is an unweighted GPA. We do not give additional credit for IB, AP, things like that, although we love to see students who have challenged themselves. So that's the middle 50% with GPA. SAT 1010 to 1220 in the reading and the math section only of the SAT, but we do super score. So we'll take your highest reading, highest math from any number of SAT tests that you take. And then ACT 22 to 27. Traditionally, when students fall in that range, they are pretty close to scholarship range at SPU, and we have a list of all of our scholarships on the last page of the magazine. And you can take a look at those. We have merit scholarships that range from $12,000 to $17,000 a year, and that's strictly based on your GPA and your test score. It's an average of both. And over the last few years, they've started near a 3.2 GPA and around 1,050 in the reading and the math section of the SAT, or 22, 23 ACT. So just to kind of give you an idea where that deemed scholarship might start. We also have, before I go on, these are all of our scholarships are 4-year scholarships, so you get them the first year, you can keep them for 4 years. There is a minimum GPA requirement near 3.0, but it's very, very rare for any student to lose their scholarship once they received it. I don't remember hearing of one student that has lost their scholarship. So they're 4-year scholarships. We have fine arts scholarships, so if you have talent, you sing, you play an instrument, you act, you're good with studio art, you can audition and receive up to $3,000 for your talent. You do not have to be a music major, theater major, art major to get that scholarship, but if you want to participate in theater production or choir, band, things like that, you can participate and receive money for scholarship money for it. And we also have engineering scholarships, robotic scholarships, church matching scholarships, athletic scholarships. You can see the entire list there, and then on our website we have more scholarships, including some outside scholarships, which I encourage all students to apply for outside scholarships. It's a little bit more work. You have to write an essay a lot of the times, but anything you get awarded in an outside scholarship, we will just stack it on top of anything we give you. So you can really go a long way to help cut the cost of tuition, room, and board at SPU, which next year I think is around $44,000 for tuition, room, and board. And on average, last year, students received just over $28,000 in scholarships and financial aid. So we do a lot to try to cut the cost to make SPU affordable for students, but I do believe that for the tuition dollars that students pay, they get a ton of value from SPU. And it's a great investment for not only your future job, but just being prepared to go out and make a difference with what you do. So that in a snapshot is kind of what SPU is all about, our distinctives, our application process and deadlines, and the average student coming into SPU. There's so much more knowledge I have about the university, and I could talk about a ton of things, but for every group, I'm sensitive to the needs and wants of the group and what you guys really want to know about. So if there's anything that I could elaborate further on, or if you have a question about a specific major or anything about Seattle, I can definitely answer those questions for you. Any questions about anything? Yep.
So for the fine arts scholarship, would we send in a video of the sample?
Great question. So there's a couple of ways. Most students will audition on campus. It's usually done around one of our big overnight visit events, but there is a way to audition by mail, where if you're, depending on what you're doing, you can put together, if you're doing music, if you're playing an instrument, a CD, or video of you doing that, and send that in. Instructions on how to audition by mail are on our fine arts scholarship, or fine arts webpage, excuse me, and so you can get all of that information there. Good question. Other questions? Have any of you been to Seattle before? A couple of you? Okay. Have you been to the campus or just oh. Very cool. So you can answer everybody's questions about it. Other questions? Does that do a good job of just explaining everything? Are you guys tired from the day?
So do you guys have any sort of criminal justice?
We don't have a specific criminal justice program, but depending on what you're looking to go into, if it's law enforcement, working for the FBI, something like that, you don't need a specific criminal justice degree. We have a public policy and law program through our political science major that prepares students just as well for going out into those fields right after you graduate. So yeah, not specific criminal justice, but we do have a 4-year bachelor's program where you can do political science with an emphasis in public policy and law, and absolutely be prepared to go into those fields. Yep.
Do you guys, accept AP credits, like people say?
We do. You need a specific score. It's 3, 4, 5, but certain classes you may need a 4 or a 5. On our website, typically what I've done in the past is just, there's probably a longer way to do this, but I just go to the search field and type in AP Scores 2013, and a link should come up and show you every subject and what you need to score to get credit at SPU. But yes, we absolutely get AP credit. Any other questions? And you said you came in the summer, so hopefully it wasn't raining then. We have heard it rains a little bit in Seattle. Our weather's different. In the winters when we get the majority of our rain, but it's a really, really pretty place. It's really green, but it's green because it rains. But yeah, and usually in the spring and summer, it's just gorgeous there. All right. Well, I'm not going to pull your teeth to try to get questions. If you do have any further questions throughout the entire process, I am your main contact. I'm the person that's actually going to be reading your application should you apply. My contact information, direct contact to the office, is on the back of the second page. There's a purple, kind of a purple part, and right under admissions counselors, Jason Chivers is my name. All the way in the front here at that moment. Yeah, it's like the second page. There you go, on that person. So yeah, you can circle that. That's my direct line to my office, my email address, and I would love to answer any questions that you may have in the future. But thank you guys very, very much for your time and attention. Appreciate it. Well, not collect diagram. Thank you. Were you there for like an event on Friday? Or was it just a tour? Okay. Actually, another student from Honolulu that is a junior there this year. I don't know if you know Rolene. Do you know Rolene? Actually in that picture. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.